All right, so let's go through a couple of examples. I'm not going to go over the very basic ones because I think you guys got those down. So let me go ahead and choose one that was similar to a problem from the quiz, but I'm going to change it slightly. So we have to use the right triangle trigonometry. So let me scoot down a little bit. Let me show you. So here's my example. And then let's say we have this sort of triangle over here. It went like this, boom, and then it made this sort of right triangle over here. And we're trying to find this x. Now, of course, we need to be given a couple of things. So let's say that this angle is 25 degrees. And let's say that this side is 4 and this side is 2. Okay? So now, if you remember this one, if you saw the other video, this had to do with law of sines. I changed up the numbers, so in this case, we have to use the Pythagorean theorem. Now, be on the lookout. We actually have 3 triangles we can work with. We can work with this triangle over here, the one that's completely solid. We can also work with this kind of like dotted triangle, which is a right triangle over here. But there's also a bigger triangle that's made up of like both, so it's like this triangle composed of both. Now, there's no solid way of knowing exactly when we're going to use each triangle. In this case, I'm trying to find x, for example, so I know I have to use either this dotted triangle or the bigger one. And I know information about this triangle, so I could be using the bigger one, I could be using the smaller one. There's no set way, you just have to try different things, try them out. So now, we're not going to use law of sines because if you notice, like if you focus on this triangle, we don't have much information to use law of sines. We only know one angle, one side. That's not enough. And we cannot use SOHCAHTOA on this triangle because it's not right. Now we could use it on this triangle, but it's we don't have enough information. We only know, like we're trying to find the hypotenuse, we're trying to use this side over here, but for SOHCAHTOA, we never use the right triangle. The right angle. So we have to figure out either one of these angles, or we have to do other tricks. Now in this case, they give us this triangle and they share this side. It's a good sign that we have to do a little bit more. So keep in mind that I'm trying to find something that can help me out over here. So let's think about this way. Well, let's think about this triangle. I know this angle, so it can help me out. And because I can't use law of sines or law of cosines, let me focus on, I have a right triangle, let me focus on the big triangle, because I'm given information about this. This is 4 and this is 2, so I can figure out this whole side. This whole side is 6. So if I focus on the bigger triangle, this angle is still for the bigger triangle. And then I have something about this side, I can figure out this side, not the x, this side, which I can use for this triangle. So keep in mind that if I focus on this one, then this side is technically my opposite side because I'm going all the way over here. So then let me draw this triangle so you guys can see it better. So I'm thinking of this whole side, where this is 25. Here's my opposite side that I'm trying to find. And this whole thing is made up of the 4 and the 2. So this whole thing is 6. So now, because this is a right triangle, I can use SOHCAHTOA. And I have to figure out which part I'm going to use. SOHCAHTOA. So keep in mind, I'm trying to find out the opposite. I can't use this to find x because it's not a right triangle. Not yet. And so I'm trying to find the opposite, and I have the adjacent side. So if you look at these options, there's only one option with the opposite and adjacent. It has to be TOA. So let me set this up over here. I have to use TOA, which is tangent of whatever my angle is, which is 25, is equal to my opposite over the adjacent. So let me plug those numbers in. So tangent of 25 is equal to, in this case, I don't know the opposite, so I'll call it OPP. You can call it y if you want to. Stay away from x because we're trying to find x. So just call it something else. I just keep calling it opposite, so I know I'm looking for the opposite. And then my adjacent is 6. Now, keep in mind, I can actually still use cross multiplying. Just remember that any number that's by itself is like secretly over 1. So I can cross multiply this way. Okay, or just remember I'm trying to bring the 6 over to this side. So let me write this down over here. So let me use the color so it matches. So let me focus on the blue first. I know 1 times the opposite side is just opposite. And now it's equal to whatever 6 times the tangent of 25 is. Now notice I keep writing this down instead of actually finding the variable, so it's easier to keep track of my accuracy. And then I can just plug this into my calculator. So it's 6 times the tangent of this. So 6 times tangent of, what did I say, 25 degrees. And then it's 2.79. I'm just going to round up and say my opposite is equal to, I'll call it 2.8. It's fine. Okay, so that's this side, 2.8. Now keep in mind, we're not done. We're looking for x, which is over here. So now let me draw this like my first step. Let me draw my second step. So now I'm going to use this right triangle. So this was x, this is right, and this is 2. So this is like focusing on the dotted triangle over here. And now I'm going to use this side, 2.8, to find x. Now I have different strategies. I can try to use SOHCAHTOA, but I don't know any angle. Keep in mind, based on our strategies, we still have the Pythagorean theorem. In fact, I have two sides. I'm trying to figure out the hypotenuse. That's exactly what I want to do. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And then just plug in. It doesn't matter what these are. I'll just call it a and b. But this has to be c. So 2.8 squared plus 2 squared is equal to x squared, whatever c is. And then let me put this into the calculator. So I go 2.8 squared plus 2 squared. Let's find out what that is. 11.84 is equal to x squared. And then don't forget, I'm trying to get x completely by itself. So I need to square root. So x is equal to, and let me go ahead and do that, 11.84. Now I'm taking the square root. So the square root is about 3.44. Okay, so a little more advanced, but it's still using SOHCAHTOA with the big triangle, and then using our tricks like Pythagorean theorem.